AOSD Chandler. AOSD. Watch me bring it out.
Assembly of Sound Doctrine.
AOSD. Watch me bring it out.
You know the script. So what they saying? You brought her with you. Now you're playing. I ain't playing with your plans. Scriptures watch the land. I'm powering up with higher gods like Super Science. I can do it solo. Kill a whole doctor with three quotes. From the Christians to the Hebrews, they're all lost like Nemo. And they give them a shot like a free throw. Break them all down like a peephole. Take some notes from the lesson, gaining knowledge. It's a lesson from the spirit in the kingdom. That's a keyhole. Oh no, I know it's been fulfilled and all go. The kingdom is here, I'm hyped, so underneath we might glow. Come learn with me, this new covenant living. The kingdom within, with all of God's children. Watch me break some truth, brainworks of good fruits. Hebrew literature, real doctors like saber-tooth. I'm gonna let it loose from the Passover to the Feast of Booths. From the law of Moses, from head to toe to the new creation, everything is new. AOSD, 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 Assembly of Sound Doctrine. Shalom, everyone. This is Elvin Israel from the Assembly of Sound Doctrine Chandler, where we concentrate on understanding the ancient Hebraic mindset and how to exegete the scriptures using them as a means and a measure to do it. I would like to say welcome to my page, AOSD CHANDLER, where you could come in, get your coffee, get your popcorn ready, and to go through the videos, because there's a plethora of videos that you can indeed go through. So let me try to start now on my Clubhouse. Hopefully they didn't kick me off. And I am here, actually started on the Clubhouse. So all praises to the Most High. Shalom, Brother Daniel. I was able to get in. So once again, this is my YouTube channel, AOSD CHANDLER. Thank everyone for the likes, for the shares, for the comments, and etc. I have 281 subscribers. As you can tell, the subscription level is indeed increasing. And if you guys don't mind, please continue sharing the information and etc. Make sure you please continue to like the videos. Even if you don't like them, dislike the videos. Comment, let me know what you liked about it, what you disliked about it. You have any questions or concerns, please put it in the comment section, and I will indeed respond to each and every one of them. Shalom, Brother Mike. Welcome aboard.
Shalom.
Let me.
Hey, man,
Yes, sir.
I'm just reading the title of this room here. Is this a shot at Jay? Is this a shot at Jay?
Yeah, I don't know what the J came from. Yeah, I'm Clubhouse put that up there. Dude, I get what you're saying. But now Clubhouse put that on here, so I can't control what Clubhouse do with that situation. But if Jay want the smoke, whoever Jay is, y'all know we bringing the smoke. And now let me get ready to ping some people in. If you have not, please ping people in so we can get ready to get started. I apologize for being late. Preparations took a little bit longer than I thought it was going to take. So, and when you ping, go into the red happen. And for the people on Facebook and as well as YouTube, give me 1 second. I know you guys like, man, every time I come on, it takes this plane a long time to take off. But I promise you, if you wait, the information being provided today will indeed fulfill all of your needs. So please, once again, everyone, ping people into the room until you can no longer ping. Today, we're going to be talking about the Messiah himself being the God of Israel according to the law and the prophets. Now, it might be confusing because plenty of people, I know we got Israel only people who go in there and say, I have never seen the Messiah not one time mentioned inside of the Old Testament, right? And this is the argument that they have. The Messiah has never, this Jesus Christ figure or Yahweh Shai, however you want to call his name, he has never been mentioned inside of the Old Testament. And today we're going to show the fallacies of that argument. And indeed, we're going to prove that he was indeed mentioned inside of the Old Testament over and over and over again. And we're going to show today that the entity that people call the Father, you know, when people do a lot of talking about the Father, really don't say nothing about the Son, I'm going to prove today that the one that the people have been calling the Father has been the Son the whole entire time. Once again, I'm making the bold statement, the bold claim that I'm going to show today out of the Old Testament that the one that the people have been calling the Father, Yahweh, the God of heaven and all that stuff, they have really been talking about the Son the entire time, and they did not know it. They have been mistaken and misusing and misunderstanding and misapplying who these guys are, because for some reason someone told us in the Western world in the 21st century that Israel only believed in one God in heaven. Someone fed us that malarkey and we actually believed it. Oh, it's no way that there could be two gods. Look, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one God. I will not give my glory to another. There's no God. Yes, they go through all of that because they don't understand who's talking, what's being said here. So today, we're going to show people what is being said. And if people don't know how this room is laid out, first we do lectures, we go over a plethora of scriptures, then we open it up for the audience or for the panel, and then when everyone is done, we finish the second half of it. So that's the way that we're going to go. That's the format of the scripture. So if y'all can bring Brother Josephus up, make him a moderator, please. If anyone has anything to say, please raise your hand, put it in the back channel. Once again, I allow everyone to talk, but at the correct time. We don't interfere with the word of God that's coming out. We got to let that come out first, and then we go on. So this is the first thing first. In order to understand how the layout of these gods or these individuals, these entities, these deities in the Bible, in order to understand how they work, you have to go into the ancient scriptures, the ancient mindset. You have to travel back into their literature and see how they presented this information. So we're going to start first with the Dead Sea Scrolls. And I'm just going to tell us one verse from the Dead Sea Scrolls. You got Deuteronomy 32, verses 8 and 9. Now, I'm going to read it out of the KJV, the Masoretic text, which came like the 10th century, right? So I'm going to read from the 10th century AD, and then I'm going to read from the 2nd, 3rd century BC, which is before, over 1,000 years before the Masoretes came and created the Masoretic text, what we have today in our Old Testament. So let me read what the Masoret said first. You got Deuteronomy 32, verse number 8. It says, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bound of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. And the first thing should have popped out in everybody's mind was, how in the world could the Lord be setting nations in bounds according to the children of Israel
when the children of Israel wasn't even thought about just yet. Well, they was thought about, of course, but the children of Israel wasn't even on earth when he set the bounds, when he did the table of nations and etc. The children of Israel wasn't in existence yet. So then we hit the thing. Well, the Lord knows everything. So he was already foreshadowing what was going to happen. Well, maybe the Masoretes was trying to put the understanding or the importance on the children of Israel, taking it out of the original understanding. So we have the understanding that came from the Masoretic text. He separated the Most High, whom everyone calls the Father. He divided the nations in their inheritance when he separated the sons of Adam. He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. And then verse 9. For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. So you got the Most High dividing the nations. Then you got the Lord's portion being his people. Jacob being his inheritance. And that right there, that understanding right there, is pretty much what gets everybody off in the 21st century. They make the Lord right there, the Lord, they make him be the Most High. So they make that this Lord in verse 9 be the Most High in verse 8. Well, we're going to render it. We're going to read the rendering from the Dead Sea Scrolls now. So this is what the Dead Sea Scrolls said. They came about over 1,000 years before the Masoretes came, right? It says, when El Elyon gave the nations as an inheritance. And this will be on my YouTube channel. Y'all can actually click on my link to see the YouTube channel. But I like showing the things on the screen so people can't say that I'm making it up. So when El Elyon gave the nations as an inheritance, when he separated the sons of man, he set the boundaries of the peoples according to the number of the sons of God. For Yahweh's portion was his people. Jacob was the lot of his inheritance. So you see in the Masoret, what we have in our Bible, it says the Most High and the Lord's portion. But now, from the older rendering, it actually expounds that these are two different deities. El Elyon gave the nations as an inheritance to the sons of God. But Yahweh's portion was his people. So there's a difference between the Yahweh here and the El Elyon, or whom they quoted as Most High in Deuteronomy's text. So in the Masoretic text, it said Most High and the Lord's, and people made it be the same entity or the same deity. Here, from the older rendering, we find out that El Elyon and Yahweh are two different deities. So what you have here, you have the Father setting the inheritance amongst the angels. And you have Yahweh, which is a son of God. Let me read the verse again. When El Elyon gave the nations of an inheritance, when he separated the sons of man, he set the boundaries of the people according to the number of the sons, with an S, of God. For Yahweh's portion, so that means Yahweh was one of the sons of God. For Yahweh's portion was his people. Jacob was the lot of his inheritance. So Yahweh is not El Elyon. El Elyon is the Father. Yahweh is the Son. So now, I know a lot of people, y'all might be confused right now, like, what's going on? I don't understand. Is this guy saying that the Most High is not Yahweh? I am definitely saying that the Yahweh that people say and speak of in the scripture, that's definitely not the Most High. So now, let's get ready to start this. So we got the back scripture showing that these are difference between the two. So we're going to actually start this in the New Testament. We're going to read a few verses out of the New Testament, and we're going to go straight to the Old Testament. So now, remember, there's two different deities. You got El Elyon, you got Yahweh. Yahweh's people was Israel. El Elyon would have been king over the whole universe. Yahweh would have been God over his people. Let me say it again. El Elyon would have been king over the whole earth, the whole universe. Meanwhile, Yahweh would have been the king or the God over Israel by itself. So, when you get to, let's get here. Let's go to John. John chapter 1. Now, hopefully this is finna make sense. Hopefully this is finna make sense what's said here now. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So we have here that Yahweh, or let's don't use those names real fast because I don't want to get no one. I didn't already state it. So let's just say it like this. The Word in the beginning was with God, and the Word was God. So you have two deities right here. You got the Word and you got God. That's how the Word was with God. So now you also have the Word being God. So the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. So it's showing you here that there was two gods in Israel's mind in the beginning. And all things were made by him. That would have been the Word. So all things was made by the Word. So all things on planet Earth was made by the Word, and without him was not anything made that was made. Okay, so we good there. So now, let's go down to verse 14. And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. So hold on, let's just think about that. It said the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. So we know that this Word right here has to be Christ. And it also stated that he was the only begotten of the Father. So, when they were in the first century and they understood Christ was the Word, this is talking about his disciples, they understood that the God who created all things was walking amongst them. They understood there was a difference between him and the Father. That's why they said the Word, he was the only begotten of the Father. So just as we read earlier from the Dead Sea Scrolls text dealing with Deuteronomy 32 and 8, the difference between El Elyon and Yahweh, they knew here there was a difference between the Word God and the Father. So they knew that there was two deities in the beginning. Once again, in the 21st century in the Western world, for some reason, I don't know who came about and told us that ancient Israel only believed in one God. That is definitely not true at all. And we're going to go through, I know people want to hit that later on. Look, right here, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one God, and all that other stuff. We're going to show you what all that stuff actually means. So now, let's start in Exodus 19, 4 and 5. I'm just going to be going through the KJV today. So we're going to go to Exodus 19. We're going to read 4 through 5. This is what Exodus 19 from the Masoretic text or our King James Version say. Exodus 19, 4 through 5. Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine. So right there, when a person is listening to that, they say, okay, this is the Lord, this is the Father, saying that if the children of Israel will listen to his voice and obey, then they will be a peculiar treasure above all people, because the earth is his. So that's what we have out of our rendering of the text, right? Our Masoretic text, 10th century. But now we're gonna scroll. Now, we got this right here. We got the older text, the AD text. Now we're gonna go to an earlier AD text that was left over by ancient Israel. Now, I'm not talking about the converts and all of these people that helped render the Old Testament that we have today. I'm talking about the national Jews that knew that they was Jews, that knew their bloodline, and knew they had their records. The national Jews, right? When they were in the synagogues and when they was reading these things out of the synagogues, right? Those Jews in the first century, we're going to read their rendering of the Torah. They have something out called, and let me get it on the screen. They have something out called the Targums. And if you guys have not invested in anything called the Targums, if you are a true or serious Bible student, I implore you to invest in the Targums, or you can download them some of them on the internet for free in PDF form. But let me tell you what a Targum is. The Targum is spelled Targum. Now, I got this definition from dictionary.com. Once again, I'm showing it on my Facebook screen, and it will be showed on my YouTube also. So this is the definition of Targum. An ancient Aramaic paraphrase or interpretation of the Hebrew Bible of a type made from about the 1st century AD, when Hebrew was declining as a spoken language. And we know that the disciples and Christ and all of them actually spoke Aramaic. But besides all of that, if you want to do the argument now, they spoke Hebrew. These are paraphrases and interpretations of the scripture left over by the scribes of the 1st century who wrote these things down for the synagogue. So in other words, I don't need anyone to tell me the interpretation of ancient texts when I have people who lived in the ancient world that gave their own interpretation of the text. So I don't need someone from the 21st century in the Western world telling me what this text means if I have someone in the 1st century of the Eastern world where they lived it saying what these texts mean. So let me read the Aramaic interpretation and paraphrase of the Torah. So this, what I'm going to read here, predates what we have in our Bible. So I'm going to read the older version so we can see what's going on. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't like history, but here we embark in the historical information. So I'm going to read now. Let me read this Exodus narrative from the Targums. So let me find it. And the one thing about the PDF, which I don't like about the PDF, it's not numbered. It's not numbered at all. So it's actually how it was in the ancient days. It's one long scroll, no numbers, no divisions, no chapter division, no verse breaks, none of that. One long scroll, just like they had it back in the days. So, in other words, if a person quoted from a scroll or the Old Testament or the Law and the Prophets, they had to pretty much read the whole entire scroll to understand what section they want to look for the people to say, oh, you don't have to read it like a novel. You can skip around. Well, they read it like a novel. They had no choice. There was no skipping around back then. Give me that scroll. Now, hand me that scroll. Now, hand me that scroll. Now hand me that scroll. And that's how we know. No, that's not how they was doing it. So now let's read Exodus. So I got to find it on my end also. So Exodus 19, 4 through 5. Now I got the book. So in the book, the publishers of the book actually gave us the chapters and the verses, but not the PDF. They kept it original. So give me 1 second to actually find what I'm looking for. But this is Exodus 19, 4 and 5. We start with ye sing. So let me find it real fast. And this is way harder than what people think. So alright. Let's see, when the trumpet is declared, and it was the third day. I think that's it right there. Let's see here. You see what I did. It was the third day at morning. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out where is it. Ye have seen. So let me find it. You have seen. You have seen. And there was no way I could have highlighted this and that's what people were like, hey, why you didn't highlight it? There's no way you can highlight it. So what I'm gonna do, all right, that's 19. Let me just go down. In the third month, I got that, and they journeyed, got that, and Moshe, you have seen. Okay, I got it right there. Now go ahead, brother. And I sure appreciate that, brother. And I didn't actually found it now also, so I sure appreciate that. So I'm gonna read it from the ancient. This is in the Targums, Exodus 19, 4 and 5. And this is what it says right here. Ye have seen what I did to Mizraim, and how I bear you on eagle's wings, and brought you nigh to serve me. This is verse 5. And now, if ye hearkening, you will hearken to my word, and will keep my covenant, you before me shall be more beloved than all peoples, for all the earth is mine. So now, if people don't understand the word there is memra, memra. It represents the same word as in Greek logos, logos. They represent the same entity. In the beginning was the word was with God, and the word was God. So now you have El Elyon telling them, you will hearken to my word. So now, if the word was the Messiah, because we already read in John that indeed the word was the Messiah. Well, that word right there represented the Messiah, or the Jesus the Christ of Yahweh. But anyway, so from Exodus, the Lord, the Father, is telling the children of Israel, you guys have to hearken unto my word. So from the beginning of it all, dealing with the nation of Israel coming out of Egypt, they had the instruction was for them to listen to the word. In the beginning, the word was the one who was going to be the ones that the Israelites had to listen to. Not the Father. He said, I want you guys to hearken unto my word. So he separated it. I want you guys to hearken unto my word. But notice, when we read from the Masoretic text or the KJV, he said, if you will obey my voice. So if you look in your KJV Bible right now at Exodus 19:5, you see the my voice right there. You see it's not even capitalized. It's lowercase. But once you go into the Aramaic, the one that actually shows the earlier rendering, you see here that they got it right there, hearken to my word, and they got it capitalized to show that this is a proper noun. So the word right there represents a deity. So when they did this Masoretic text, they took the word out of Torah. In the older version, the word was actually in Torah, in significance on who they had to listen to. But now let's continue with that point, right? So I'm going to read this out of the Masoretic text. You go to Exodus 19:16 through 17. This is what it states. And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that the people that was in the camp trembled. And Moses brought forth the people out the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the nether part of the mount. So according to the Masoretic text, they was going to meet God, and they stood at the nether of the mount in order to meet him, right? But let's go to the Targum's rendering. So in the Targum's rendering of it, which is 404 now, let me find it right here. So this is 19:16 through 17. All right, so it says, and it was right here, and it was the third day at morning, and there was voices and lightnings and mighty clouds upon the mountain, and the voice of the trumpet exceedingly strong, and all the people trembled who were in the camp. And Moshe led forth the people out of the camp to meet the word of the Lord, and they stood at the lower parts of the mount. So, in the Masoretic text, it said that they were going to meet God. In the earlier version, the Targums, it said that they were going to meet the word of the Lord. They're both saying the same thing, because we find in John 1 that the word was God. So when they went to meet God, the God that they was going to meet was actually the word of the Lord. The problem with the Masoretic is people want you to believe, or the way that it kind of is written out, that this God that they was going to meet was the Father. But we have the older text actually telling you this God that they was going to meet was the Word, which is the Son. Not the Father, but the Son. So now, this is finna get even more interesting, right? So now we have that that the Lord told Israel, or the Father told Israel, I want you guys to hearken unto my Son, or I want you guys to hearken unto my word. And then we have Moses introducing the word to the children of Israel. He sent the people out of the camp to meet the word of the Lord. So now Moses is introducing the word, their God, to them. So now we're going to go to Deuteronomy 5:1 through 6 now. So give me 1 sec. All right. So let's read it out the Masoretic first. So this is what happens in Deuteronomy. So Deuteronomy 5, 1 through 6. Let me get there in my hard copy so I know how to line the verses up when I get to the Masoretic. I didn't already explain why I had to do this. And for people to think, it's not easy as people think in order to do this on the fly. So Deuteronomy 5, we're going to read 1 through 6 out of the KJV. He says, well, Moses wrote, and Moses called all Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that ye may learn them and keep and do them. The Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. The Lord made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us, who are all of us here alive this day. Verse 4. The Lord talked with you face to face in the mount out of the midst of the fire. Verse 5. I stood between the Lord and you at that time to show you the word of the Lord, for ye were afraid by reason of the fire, and went not up into the mount, saying, and you can continue reading. But even there in the Masoretic text, it was kind of a slip up. Because there in the Masoretic text, it tells you, I stood between the Lord and you to show you the word of the Lord. Did anybody ever catch in Deuteronomy 5 that that word of the Lord was added there? See, that was a slip up. Once again, they was kind of taking the Messiah out of Torah. This is what they was trying to do in the Masoretic text. But when the Masoretic people, and they did it with the Psalms and everything. But here we have that he went to show them the word of the Lord. And we know who the word of the Lord is. It's the Messiah. But now, let's read it out of the Targums. And the Targums have a little bit different rendering, right? So we're going to go to 1 sec to get there. 4.
I hope y'all enjoying what y'all hearing in the audience, because this is incredible, man.
Yeah, and what's going on? See, this is and just for everybody want to know what's happening, what takes so long. My program also, when I don't go through my PDFs real fast, they'll shut them all the way down, and I have to start from scratch. So trust me, it's not user error. This is just something that it does. So I'm just finna open the program real fast again. So once again, hopefully we're all keeping up with what's actually being said here, and it should be opening. Let me close it out and reopen it. All right, so now, all right, we should be there now. Let's see if it works now. 4, 9, 5. All right, bet. So we are there now. Page 495. All right. So let's see here. Deuteronomy 5, 1 through 6, it says, when Moshe, let's see here. And if it keep acting up like this, I just read it out of the hard copy book, and I just say forget it, showing it on screen. This is what I do. It'll make it go by faster. I just read it out the hard copy, and then you guys just have to take my word for it. But if you got your own targums, it'll work out too. So I'm just going to read it from the hard copy. So this is what it says, because I got to speed this thing up. Deuteronomy 5, verse 1. And Moshe called all Israel and said to them, Listen, Israel, to the statutes and judgments, which I speak before you this day, and learn them, and keep them to do them. The Lord our God confirmed a covenant with us at Horeb. The Lord confirmed not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, as us who are here, all of us living this day. Word with word had the Lord spoken with you at the mountain from the midst of the fire. I stood between the word of the Lord and you, to announce to you at that time the word of the Lord. For you were afraid in presence of the fire, and went not up to the mountain, saying. So we have Moses declaring that he stood between the word of the Lord and the children of Israel to show them, or to declare to them, the word of the Lord. So in the Masoretic text, Deuteronomy 5:5, what we have in our Bible, it says, I stood between the Lord and you. But in the older rendering, it said, I stood between the word of the Lord and you. So the Lord in Deuteronomy 5 is actually, once again, the Messiah. It's the word of the Lord. So now, since I don't have to go back and forth now, I'm just going to read directly. I'm going to read Deuteronomy 5:23 through 25 for you out of the KJV. It says, and it came to pass, when ye heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, for the mountain did burn with fire, that ye came near unto me, even all the heads of your tribes and your elders. And ye said, behold, the Lord our God. Listen to what he said. Behold, the Lord our God hath showed us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day that God doth talk with man, and he liveth. Verse 25. Now therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us, if we hear the voice of the Lord our God any more, then we shall die. So let's look at the rendering and the Targums. So you go to Deuteronomy 5, and we're going to read verses 21 through 22. It's numbered a little different in the Targums. It says, and ye said, behold, the Lord our God had showed to us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard the voice of his word out of the midst of the fire. This day we have seen that the Lord speaketh with a man, and he liveth. Verse 22. But now, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us, if we go on to hear the voice of the word of the Lord our God. We shall die. So let me say that again. But now, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us, if we go on to hear what? The voice of the word of the Lord our God. To hear the voice of the word of the Lord our God. The word of the Lord our God. We shall die. So the children of Israel understood that the word of the Lord was their God. Let me read it again. The voice of the word of the Lord our God. So the word of the Lord was their God, and they understood this. They understood that when Moses showed them the word of the Lord, and when they was able to hear the word of the Lord, and the word of the Lord was the one that was coming out of the fire, the flames, they understood that the word of the Lord was their God. So in the beginning, that makes Christ being their God. The Word was their God. The Father was God over the universe. The Word of the Lord was the God of Israel. So can you say, yeah, the Father was the God of Israel? Yes, the Father was the God of every nation on the whole entire planet. But for Israel's sake, dealing with their specific God, that was indeed the word of the Lord. So now I got I'm gonna go through 1, 2, 3 more, and then I will open it up for questions and comments before we go to the second section. So now we're gonna read Deuteronomy 8. I'm gonna read 18 through 20 now. Deuteronomy 8, 18 through 20. This is from the KJV. But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant, which he sware unto thy fathers, as it is this day. And it shall be, if thou do at all forget the Lord thy God, and walk after other gods, and serve them and worship them, I testify against you this day that ye shall utterly perish, or ye shall surely perish, as the nations which the Lord destroyed before your face. So shall ye perish, because ye would not be obedient unto the voice of the Lord your God. So now let's read Deuteronomy 8, 18 through 20 out of the Targums. It says, be but remember the Lord thy God, for he it is who giveth thee power to acquire riches, that he may confirm his covenant which he sware to thy fathers, as at this day. But it will be that if thou forget the fear of the Lord thy God, and walk after the idols of the Gentiles, to serve and worship them, I testify against you this day, that perishing you will perish. As the nations which the Lord destroyed before you, so shall you perish, because you will not obey the word of the Lord your God. Let me just read it again. As the nations which the Lord destroyed from before you, so shall you perish, because you would not obey the word of the Lord your God. See, in Deuteronomy 8:20 from the Masoretic text, it says the voice of the Lord. So when you're going through the Torah and you keep saying the voice of the Lord, understand that that's the word of the Lord. They put it voice small, lowercase letters, like there's no importance. But there was importance on this voice in the ancient text. This voice the word that they rendered voice was actually the word that was supposed to represent the word, that being, that deity, that God, that memra. That God right there was the God, the Lord, the word out of that. That's the voice. So the voice of the Lord that was walking in Genesis. When I hid from your voice, they hid from the word of God in Genesis, dealing with the Garden of Eden. So the word of the Lord was their God. And let's go to Deuteronomy 9:3. Once again, thank you guys for sticking in. And I got 2 more, and then we'll open it up. So Deuteronomy 9:3. It says, understand therefore this day, that the Lord thy God is he which goeth over before thee. As a consuming fire he shall destroy them, and he will bring them down before thy face. So shalt thou drive them out, and destroy them quickly, as the Lord has said unto thee. So now, Deuteronomy 9:3, out of the older Targums, it says, but know this day, that the word of the Lord thy God, he it is who goeth over before thee. He who is a burning fire. He will consume them. he will break them down before thee, and thou wilt soon drive them out, as the Lord has told thee. So we find out here in Deuteronomy 9:3, it's the word of the Lord going before them. In the Masoretic text, it says, know that the Lord thy God is he which goeth over before thee. In the Targums, it says, it's the word of the Lord thy God who goes over before thee. So the Lord thy God was the word of the Lord thy God. So the word was actually their God. And guess what else he was? He was the burning fire. It was him. He's the burning fire. You go to Deuteronomy 9:23. Likewise, when the Lord sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying, go up and possess the land which I have given you. Then ye rebelled against the commandment of the Lord your God, and ye believed him not, nor hearkened to his voice. Deuteronomy 9:23. And when out of the Targums, and when the Lord sent you from Rechem, Giah, saying, go up and possess the land I have given, then rebelled you against the decree of the word of against the decree of the word of the Lord your God, and would not believe him, nor be obedient to his word. So once again, the word for voice is actually his word, and it says the Lord your God. We find out that it's actually the word of the Lord your God. So now, we're going to end it with the Deuteronomy 28, because this is where everyone like talking about blessings and curses. So we're going to end it with Deuteronomy 28. I'm going to read 1:15 and 45. It says, this is out of the KJV. And it should come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice, so we know what this voice is now, unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I have commanded thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations on the earth. So now we're going to go down to 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So now let's read verse number 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou beest destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. So now let's read it out of the Targums. Deuteronomy 28, we're going to read 1:15 and 45. Deuteronomy 28, 1:15 and 45. Here go 1. And if thou wilt indeed be obedient to the word of the Lord thy God. So who they have to be obedient to? The word of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments. Hold on now. To do who commandments? His commandments. Who commandments? Who's the his? The word of the Lord thy God. So who was giving commandments out? The word was giving commandments out. So when you get to the New Testament talking about Moses, Christ followed Moses. No, Moses followed Christ. And then Christ has the authority to come and say, hey, I'm going to give you guys new commandments, because he was the one who was their God who gave them old commandments. But anyway, let's keep going. 28 and 1. And if thou wilt indeed be obedient to the word of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all the peoples on the earth. So now we're going to go down to verse 15. But if thou wilt not obey the word of the Lord thy God, to observe and do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command you this day, all these curses shall come upon thee and cleave to thee. So now the last one will be verse 45. Deuteronomy 28:45. It says, "And all these curses shall come upon thee and follow thee and cleave to thee till thou art consumed, because thou wast not obedient to the word of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he had commanded thee." So according to the Targums, which predates the Masoretic text that we have, it's the word of the Lord that was introduced to the children of Israel. It was the word of the Lord who voice that they heard. It was the word of the Lord who was going to be their God. It was the word of the Lord who was going to bring the blessings, and it was the word of the Lord who was going to bring the curses. So people don't understand the importance of the Messiah coming on earth to Israel, bringing forth understanding and teaching about the kingdom of heaven. How would he know this? Because he has been around from the beginning. He was their God from the beginning. So when they when they violated what he brought them coming in Sinai, he came on earth and brought them something better. So now I can mute my mic, and if anyone has anything that they want to say or have any questions, comments, and concerns, this is the time. And when we come back, we will finish the second portion.
Yeah, mind blown. Number one. So I look forward to the rest of the lecture. Evan, can you just tell me real quick what scroll from the Dead Seas you were looking at? There's a few of them from Deuteronomy. You said Deuteronomy 32, right?
Yes, sir. And I actually clicked off of. Hold on, give me 1 second. To get back on it. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, yes, sir. Give me 1 second to find it. I clicked off of it. Um, no, hold on 1 second. Alrighty. It is. Let me see if it pulls back up. Give my internet a chance to catch up with me.
Yeah, that's tweaking my brain.
Hold on. Oh, now my whole computer. Hold on, my whole computer trying to shut down on me. Hold on, give me 1 sec. I'm gonna mute my mic, and if anybody else want to continue the conversation, give me 1 second to my computer.